Minister, before we go on, I just want to address something. There's a YouTube of my voice with Mo Green. And I think I owe an explanation to the people listening as to how this thing came about. When this bin story broke, Kalai John Baptist came with somebody, I can't remember who it was, to my office to ask me to do an interview. Told him, but I can't really discuss this thing with you, Kalai. I don't really know what the facts are. He said, well, somebody, Mr. Popwell's nephew, some James or whatever his name was, called him expressing concern and as to what was happening and asking him questions about the information that they had and what was going to happen and blah, 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 and so on. And that I should talk to him. And I said to Kala, but why should I talk to this guy? You know, I mean, he said, Tony, look, the man is the man's nephew, so he says that you should speak to him. So Kala calls him. And I spoke with this guy from my office, and then later on I called him from my cell phone, not in the Prime Minister's office, but from the Prime Minister's office in the reception area, indicating to him that I was having a meeting with the PM, and if he had gotten hold of the documents, which were the registration documents we had spoken about. I gave him my cell number and my thing. The very next morning I heard Lennox Linton, and I immediately said that somebody had set up Kalai to do this innocently and to see if they could trap me into saying something extraordinary, stupid, or thing. And then it struck me. There was only one person capable of such skullduggery. Such, how should I put it? Matt Peltier and all the media people that I've spoken to have condemned it. Johnson, John Rose, Peter Richards, all of the leading journalists have condemned that sneaky, snaky, slimy behavior of trying to set people up by speaking to them on the fraudulent pretense that they are somebody who they are not and seeking to set them up. Then this YouTube comes out.
So you mean the Dopwell nephew
was Trevor Johnson?
Was not Dopwell's nephew?
He was not Dopwell's nephew. Turned out to be Trevor Johnson, and he then puts this thing on the YouTube. Astaphan begging. Well, I know Dominicans are sensible, civilized people. They would have realized that I didn't beg. But what was dishonest? Because I expect any sort of dishonesty from Trevor Johnson. But what was particularly dishonest was that Gabriel Christian called Q95 one night, and I heard him, well knowing that that phone call did not come from Popper's nephew, but from Trevor Johnson, and suggested that I was doing something improper or that I did not know what I was saying or doing because of this conversation I had with this man's nephew, knowing full well it was Trevor Johnson. And Lennox Linton himself, knowing full well it was Trevor Johnson, kept on replaying and replaying and replaying the tape, giving the impression that I had this conversation with some Popwell, some nephew of Popwell, in an attempt to do something wrong or do something unethical, or I was doing something improper. Now, I think that because of my position, if someone who I consider credible like Kalai John Baptist tells me that there is somebody he knows that may have information to assist in the gathering of facts, I have an obligation to follow up the discussion that I have if that person promised to give me the information. It turns out that that fraud was Trevor Johnson in Trinidad, and Gabriel Christian and Lennox Linton dishonestly jumped on the bandwagon with a host of others whose sole purpose is to embarrass this government, seeking to suggest that I had done something wrong. That is the sort of petty, stupid little games little boys are playing when the stake and the future of this country is at stake. And let me be very clear to all of them, particularly you, Trevor Johnson, your foolishness is not going to stop me. Cool, take that in your Trinidadian pipe and smoke it. So, Mr. Minister, Geosoma, we've gone from hot air in Trinidad to hot energy generation in Dominica.